It seems like every time I turn around, bam, there's another AI model making headlines.
It's true. It's really moving fast.
And today, we're diving into one that's really caught my eye. It's OpenAI's O1 models.
Okay.
We've got this article, breaks down what they can do,
Yeah.
how they stack up against GPT-40.
Right.
Which is, I mean, let's face it, GPT-40 is already pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So I have to admit, I'm curious. Do these O1 models actually live up to all the hype?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? You hit on something there. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, right?
Right.
New technology, shiny new toy syndrome, but it's important to cut through all the noise and actually understand what these advancements, what they really mean for you and me.
Yeah, totally.
So in this case, these O1 models, they're designed for a very specific type of intelligence.
Okay.
It's logic-based problem solving.
So it's not just about, like generating text or, spitting out some quick answers,
Right.
like we're kind of used to seeing with other AI tools.
Exactly. The O1 models, they take a different approach.
Okay.
It's called a chain of thought process.
Chain of thought.
Okay. You can think of it like this. The AI breaks a problem down
Okay.
into individual steps, and then it considers various approaches for each step. Then it evaluates the potential outcomes of each of those before it delivers a solution. So it's almost like the AI is actually thinking things through rather than just relying on pattern recognition.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a much deeper level of processing
It is.
than what we've seen with previous models.
Absolutely. And the article highlights some specific areas where this whole chain of thought process gives the O1 models a real edge. One example being strategic planning.
Okay, strategic planning. So like, how would that actually work in the real world?
Sure. Let's say you're a company, you're trying to optimize your supply chain.
Okay, yeah.
The O1 model, it could analyze historical data, predict potential disruptions, and even suggest alternative routes or inventory strategies, to mitigate risk.
Pretty powerful.
GPT-40, it might struggle with the complexity of all those variables.
Okay.
Whereas the O1 model can systematically work through the problem.
So we're talking about situations where there are lots of moving parts.
Right.
The AI really needs to be able to think several steps ahead.
Several steps ahead. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what are some other areas where these O1 models, where they really excel?
Another area is coding.
Okay, coding, interesting.
Now, both GPT-40 and the O1 models can write code, identify bugs. They can even suggest improvements based on your feedback.
Right.
But what sets this O1 model apart is its ability to self-correct.
Self-correct, so it can catch its own mistakes.
It can anticipate potential problems in its own code and actually fix them.
Wow.
Before they even become an issue.
That's amazing.
It's almost like having an AI coding partner who's constantly looking ahead, saying hey, we might run into a problem here. Let's try this instead.
That would be so valuable for developers, especially when they're working on large, complex projects.
Absolutely. And then there's research.
Research, okay.
Think about all those tasks that involve sifting through mountains of data.
Yeah.
Identifying patterns, forming hypotheses. The O1 models can automate a lot of that tedious work.
Oh, wow.
Even in really specialized fields like genetics, they can analyze complex data sets, draw connections between different research papers, and help scientists formulate better conclusions.
So are you saying that these O1 models are going to replace researchers?
Not at all. It's more about augmenting human capabilities.
Okay.
These AI models, they can handle the heavy lifting, allowing researchers to focus on the more creative and strategic aspects of their work.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got these new AI models capable of some pretty impressive, feats of logic and problem solving.
Yeah.
But here's the question that's been on my mind this whole time. Is all this extra processing power, is it really necessary for most people for their everyday tasks? Because the article mentioned something about GPT-40 still being a viable option for a lot of stuff.
You're right to bring that up, and that's actually one of the most surprising takeaways from this article. For the vast majority of tasks, we're talking 98, 99%.
Wow, okay.
GPT-40 performs just as well as these new O1 models.
So if I just need to summarize a document or generate some quick copy, I'm probably fine sticking with GPT-40.
Exactly. And in many cases, GPT-40 might even be the better choice because it doesn't need to go through that whole lengthy chain of thought process.
Okay.
So it can often deliver results faster and more efficiently.
Got it.
Think of it like this. If you need to get across town quickly, a taxi is often more practical than a limousine.
Okay.
Even though the limousine might offer a more luxurious experience.
I like that analogy. That makes sense.
So yeah, it sounds like there are definitely situations where these O1 models are incredibly valuable.
Right.
Right.
But for many everyday tasks, GPT-40 is still a highly effective tool.
Yeah, that's reassuring to hear. So it sounds like GPT-40 isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope, it's here to stay.
But I am curious to hear more about those specific situations where these O1 models really shine. The article mentioned like 3 key areas, right?
That's right. And they're worth exploring in a little more detail because they give you a good sense of the potential of these new models. So first there's strategy, which we touched on earlier with that supply chain example.
Right, where the AI needs to be able to analyze complex data and make decisions that have like long-term implications.
Exactly. And the article gives another great example in the context of business expansion.
Okay, business expansion.
Let's say you're a company and you're trying to decide where to open your next office.
Okay, yeah.
The O1 model could analyze market trends, demographic data, real estate costs, even things like competitor locations to help you pinpoint the most strategic location. And what's really interesting is that it doesn't just spit out an answer.
It actually walks you through its reasoning, showing you how it weighted different factors and how it arrived at its conclusion.
So it's not just about getting a recommendation, it's about understanding the logic behind it.
Exactly.
Which I think adds a whole other level of transparency and trust to the process.
Absolutely. And that's what makes these O1 models so powerful. They're not just tools, they're more like strategic partners.
Okay.
That can help you make informed decisions.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the second area where these O1 models excel?
Coding, which we also touched on earlier, the ability to self-correct. To anticipate and fix errors before they even arise is a game changer for developers, especially when you're dealing with highly complex projects where even a small bug can have like cascading consequences.
Yeah, totally.
It's like having an AI pair programmer who's constantly scanning your code for potential issues and offering solutions before you even realize there's a problem.
That would save so much time and headache. Instead of spending hours debugging, you could focus on the more creative aspects of coding.
Precisely. And that brings us to the third area where these O1 models stand out. Research.
Research, right? We were talking about how they can analyze data, identify patterns, help scientists draw conclusions.
They can also do things like automate literature reviews, which can be incredibly time-consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
For researchers.
So instead of spending weeks reading through hundreds of articles, you could have the AI do the initial screening.
Exactly.
Pull out the most relevant information.
Precisely.
And then you can kind of go from there.
Exactly. And that frees up researchers to focus on the more like analytical and interpretive aspects of their work.
Okay, I'm starting to get a clearer picture of when it makes sense to use these O1 models.
Okay.
Versus sticking with something like GPT-40. It really just comes down to the complexity of the task, right?
That's a great way to put it. If you're dealing with high-stakes decisions, intricate problems, or research-heavy tasks, the O1 models might be worth exploring.
Okay.
But for a lot of everyday tasks, GPT-40 is still a highly capable and efficient tool.
That makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of the capabilities of these O1 models, how they compare to GPT-40. But before we move on, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, this idea of these AI models augmenting human capabilities rather than replacing us altogether.
That's a crucial point, and it's something that we should keep in mind as AI continues to evolve. These models are tools, and like any tool, they can be used in ways that enhance our abilities and make us more effective.
So it's not about AI versus humans. It's about figuring out how we can work together.
Precisely.
In a way that leverages the strengths of both.
Exactly, and I think that's where the real opportunity lies. Imagine a world where AI handles all those time-consuming, mundane tasks, freeing up humans to focus on the more creative and strategic aspects of their work.
So instead of spending hours like crunching numbers or sifting through data, we could be using that time to brainstorm new ideas, build relationships, or solve problems that require that uniquely human touch.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance, the right division of labor, if you will. And it's going to require us to be adaptable and to continuously develop new skills that complement the capabilities of AI.
That makes sense. It's not about being afraid of being replaced by AI. It's about being prepared to evolve alongside these technological advancements, seeing AI as a tool that can empower us.
Absolutely.
Not diminish us.
And it's going to require a collective effort. We need to be having these conversations, investing in education and training programs, creating policies that support a smooth transition to this new era of work.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's also an incredibly exciting time to be alive. We're witnessing a technological revolution that has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways, and it's up to us to make sure that we harness this power for good.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the capabilities of these new O1 models,
We have.
compared them to GPT-40, discussed the potential implications for the future of work, and we've talked about the importance of ethical considerations and the need to be proactive in addressing the challenges that come with these advancements.
And we've also emphasized the potential for AI to augment human capabilities, not replace them.
Yeah.
To create a world where humans and AI can work together to achieve even greater things.
Exactly. It's been a fascinating deep dive. I think we've all gained a lot of valuable insight.
I think so too.
But before we completely wrap up,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot about the logic and the problem-solving capabilities of these AI models.
Right.
But what about the things that make us uniquely human?
Yeah.
What about creativity, intuition, empathy?
Ah, yes. The things that are difficult to quantify, difficult to program into an algorithm.
Exactly. So as we marvel at all these incredible advancements in AI,
Yeah.
it's also important to remember that there are certain aspects of the human experience that may always remain beyond the reach of technology.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
And maybe that's a good thing.
Perhaps it is.
Perhaps that's what makes us human.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, like, if we're already seeing AI that can strategize and problem solve,
Right.
what's next?
Yeah.
What are the boundaries, of what AI can achieve?
Exactly. And that's what I find so exciting about this whole field.
Yeah.
It feels like we're constantly pushing the limits of what's possible.
We are, and that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations,
Yeah.
To explore both the potential benefits and the potential challenges
Right.
of these advancements.
Okay, so let's talk about those challenges. We've touched on the idea of AI augmenting human capabilities. But what about those concerns about AI replacing jobs altogether?
It's a valid concern, and it's something we need to be thinking about proactively.
Yeah.
The article doesn't shy away from this issue.
Right.
It acknowledges that as AI becomes more sophisticated, it's likely to have a significant impact on the job market.
So what does that mean for us? Are we all going to be replaced by robots?
Not necessarily. It's not as simple as AI taking over every job. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Some tasks are certainly more susceptible to automation, particularly those that are repetitive or data heavy.
Okay.
But there are also many jobs that require uniquely human skills, things like creativity,
Right.
critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and complex problem solving.
So it's not about AI versus humans. It's about figuring out how we can work together
Exactly.
in a way that leverages the strengths of both.
Precisely, and I think that's where the real opportunity lies. Imagine a world where AI handles all those time-consuming, mundane tasks, freeing up humans to focus on the more creative and strategic aspects of their work.
So instead of spending hours crunching numbers or sifting through data, we could be using that time to brainstorm new ideas, build relationships,
Exactly.
solve problems that require that uniquely human touch.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance, the right division of labor, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's going to require us to be adaptable, to continuously develop new skills that complement the capabilities of AI.
So it's not about being afraid of being replaced. It's about being prepared to evolve alongside these technological advancements.
I agree.
It's about seeing AI as a tool that can empower us, not diminish us.
Absolutely. And it's going to require a collective effort.
Yeah.
We need to be having these conversations, investing in education and training programs, and creating policies that support a smooth transition to this new era of work.
That makes sense. It sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's also an incredibly exciting time to be alive. We're witnessing a technological revolution that has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to ensure that we harness this power for good.
Well said. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the capabilities of these new O1 models, compared them to GPT-40, discussed the potential implications for the future of work.
Yep.
We've talked about the importance of ethical considerations.
Right.
And the need to be proactive in addressing the challenges that come with these advancements.
And we've also emphasized the potential for AI to augment human capabilities, not replace them.
Yes.
To create a world where humans and AI can work together to achieve even greater things.
Exactly. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
Yeah.
I think we've all gained a lot of valuable insights, But before we completely wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot about the logic and problem-solving capabilities of these AI models, but what about the things that make us uniquely human?
Yeah. What about those?
What about creativity, intuition, empathy?
Yes, the things that are difficult to quantify.
Right.
Difficult to program into an algorithm.
Exactly. So as we marvel at all these incredible advancements in AI,
Yeah.
it's also important to remember that there are certain aspects of the human experience
Right.
that may always remain beyond the reach of technology.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
And maybe that's a good thing.
Perhaps it is.
Perhaps that's what makes us human.
Maybe
It
so.
really makes you think. We're talking about AI that can strategize, problem solve, even write code.
Right.
But can it ever truly replicate those intangible qualities,
Right.
those things that make us human?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm.
I think it speaks to a deeper curiosity we have about the nature of intelligence itself.
Yeah.
What does it mean to think, to create, to feel?
Right. And as AI gets more sophisticated, those questions become even more relevant.
Absolutely.
We've already seen AI creating art and music, right?
Yeah.
But is it truly original? Is it just mimicking patterns it's learned
Yeah.
from human-created data?
It's a fascinating debate, and there are no easy answers, Some argue that true creativity requires consciousness, an awareness of oneself and the world that AI, at least as we understand it today, doesn't possess.
So even with all these advancements, there's still something unique about the human mind.
Yeah.
Something that sets us apart from even the most advanced machines.
It seems that way, and perhaps that's a source of comfort.
Yeah.
In a world where technology is evolving at such a rapid pace.
I think you're right. There's a sense of wonder and awe that comes with witnessing these technological leaps.
For sure.
But also a reminder that there are certain aspects of the human experience
Right.
that may always remain beyond the reach of algorithms and data sets.
And perhaps that's what makes us human.
Yeah.
Our ability to feel, to imagine, to connect with each other on a deeper level.
Yeah.
These are the qualities that drive innovation, inspire art, and shape our world in ways that AI may never fully grasp.
It's a beautiful thought, and it brings us back to the core of what we've been discussing today. As we explore this new frontier of AI, it's important to remember that technology is a tool.
It is.
It's up to us as humans to use it wisely, ethically,
right.
and in a way that enhances our lives and the world around us.
Well said. We need to approach these advancements with a sense of curiosity, but also with a healthy dose of skepticism. I think we need to ask the tough questions, consider the potential implications, and ensure that we're shaping the future of AI in a way that aligns with our values and aspirations.
It's a responsibility we all share.
We do.
And it's a conversation we need to continue having as we move forward.
Absolutely. We need to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay curious.
Right.
Because the future of AI isn't something that's happening to us. It's something we're all creating together.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an insightful journey.
It has.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
We hope this episode has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to think critically about the ever-evolving world of AI. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.